Yes, it's Norwich versus Leeds. Bring it on. This Sunday, Carrow Road. It's time for Norwich to get to Wembley to join Ipswich in the Premier League. We're talking all things that game with our two resident Canary fans, Alfie and Liam, and we've got our guest back, Matty, ready to preview this game. I tell you what, this is going to be a good one, this one. When Leeds visited Carrow Road in the year, you were 2-0 up at half time, weren't you? And then it all fell apart and Leeds won 3-2. So for a neutral, we are hoping for more of the same. But we'll get to that game in a second. Let's talk about the Birmingham game first of all. Alfie, let's start with you. Just not the races, Norwich?
No, not at all, really. Well, as soon as the game was finished, you go on Twitter and you see people describing it as a pre-season game. It looked like we played. That summed it all up, really. We just went out from minute one. We didn't really look up for it. It seemed like Wagner kind of told them to just turn it down a little bit for some reason, even though we wanted the confidence to go into the playoffs and want to win. But just nowhere near at it. I can't say anyone really had a great game after Gibson kicked the ball out of the pitch about the sixth time in the second half. I've seen enough, really. So, I just weren't at it. But, oh well, playoffs it is.
Yeah. Liam, you lost your voice at that game, so we'll forgive you for feeling a bit crook. I don't know what you were shouting at. There wasn't much to shout at, was there?
No, not really. It was just poor from minute one. Nothing happened at all. Birmingham just sort of came out. We knew they were going to attack us, and Norwich just sort of let them come on to us. Gibson had an absolute nightmare at the back. But how good he's been sort of at the back end of the season, I just couldn't believe it. And then we just looked poor, to be honest, and that's not what you want to see when you're coming into a game against Leeds, who are capable of anything.
Matty, can I ask you how much were you and the rest of the Norwich fans keeping an ear on the Plymouth Hull score? I mean, it was not going to matter too much. You had to lose by a lot, but were you keeping an ear on it?
No, I without sounding too arrogant, I wasn't really that bothered about that one. It seemed like it was pretty much a done deal for us. It was more what West Brom doing, how are they getting on and what's the score there, really. So, as the boys have said, though, not a great game. The most entertaining part was probably when a rumour was started, I think, in the home end about a result going their way, which didn't end up being the case. The game itself wasn't great, and thankfully we scraped over the line, and nothing went too bad, and Hull, didn't get the result they needed. But it doesn't fill me with a huge amount of confidence going into the playoffs, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Alfie, if you'd have won that, you'd have been playing Southampton this weekend instead of Leeds. What would you have preferred?
Well, I think all four teams in the playoffs aren't in great form at the moment, so I wasn't really, really too bothered. But I think picking a bunch, I'd have chose Southampton, because I think Ellen Road on a Thursday night going to be hard to get something there. So I would have gone Southampton. But yeah, like I said, there wasn't much in it for me. But just that Southampton that would push me over the line. But got to beat anyone, help me so.
Yeah. Liam, Alfie's alluded to it there, but at home, we think this Sunday this isn't going to be a problem for you. But what has he got to do away from home differently to what we've seen in the last couple of months to make sure that your hard work this Sunday doesn't get very quickly undone in the first 30 minutes at Ellen Road?
Yeah, no. As long as we sort of get the result on Sunday, he's got to set up with a solid base. He's got to look to sort of not necessarily defend for the whole 90, but he's got to have that sort of solid concrete block just to stop Leeds from sort of getting down the wings, getting down the flanks. And the main important thing as well is trying to stop them come through the middle, because we know they can shift the ball. So he's got to set up the correct way for starters. And then, I mean, if we can just try and get one, let's say, then hopefully we've got sort of a 2-3 goal lead at that point, then just you've got to try and see it out, I suppose, but that's the main thing.
Matty, we mentioned the 2-3 game earlier in the season. Does that weigh at all on players' minds when they think of what happened in that game? Say they are leading 2-0 at halftime again. Does the mentality of the players that you've seen worry you at all? And let's just imagine that Leeds get one back. Does this team look to you like it could cave if they concede, or do you think this is a different side?
No, I do. Again, as we mentioned, like, we're not in great form, and I appreciate Leeds aren't in great form. I was looking at all of the teams in the playoffs, actually, none of them are in great form either, so it's a bit of a strange one going into these semi-finals and final. I have no idea what to expect. From a mentality perspective, it does bother me. I've been at every game. Chef Wednesday, where we threw away a 2-goal lead. Admittedly, we should have won, but crumbled there. And the last 2 home games that I was at, we looked poor. And from a mentality perspective, you think, well, looking from the outside in as a fan who's not involved on a day-to-day, you think, well, surely you want to be putting your really good performance in and getting a bit of momentum, and winning breeds confidence. And we just don't quite look the same sort of side that we had sort of. I mean, in terms of mentality, you talk about the Ipswich game being a huge thing, but then we haven't sort of, apart from that good away win at Preston, we haven't sort of kicked on to the same sort of level that I might have expected us to. So I am slightly faithful, to be honest, and definitely in terms of the away leg, say we need to go and get something there, I wouldn't fancy us. So I'm banking on us, doing the business at home and hanging on maybe away from home. But whether the lads can handle that sort of feisty Ellen Road away leg is another thing.
Okay. Let's have a look at the team then, shall we? This is the one that started against Birmingham. Alfie, you take the back line for us. You mentioned Gibson obviously had a bit of a mare, but do you see any changes in that back four?
Not in the back four, no, because I think McCallum's been pretty solid recently, and there's no point in bringing Nunes in now just because it's his first game back from injury the other week. And I quite rate McCallum when he does defend. Sometimes a little bit lazy, but he's improving with the experience in that back line. And no, Gibson and Duffy, as much as Gibson did have a shaky one, he did, like Liam said, he ended the season on a high point still, was quite solid. So no, I wouldn't upset anyone, and I'd keep all the same. So, yeah, Duffy, keep him as well, very good in the air, very handy from set pieces. And Stacey, I really do rate Stacey. I think for a freebie, I think he just as good. He's matched Aaron's in my opinion. I think he's a very good player. So no, don't upset anyone in that back line and keep all the same.
All right, Liam, you take the defensive side of that midfield. Who slots in there?
To be honest, I'd probably drop Nunes instead of Sorensen, and then have Rowe come in. But other than that, I'd keep McLean. McLean's been best player all season. Just the way he sort of pivots on that ball, he plays from the back, he plays from the attack. So McLean and Nunes go in that sort of midfield defensive sort of slot for me.
Okay, and Matty, you can have the probably the easy one, the up front.
Yeah, no, just on that point, actually, to be fair, I really like Nunes in a slightly deeper role. If it was to be the same 3, then I'd be better, I think, than Sarah in that 10. But if it was McLean and Nunes, then it would be brilliant to see Johnny Rowe in. The issue we've got there is we don't know if I don't think he's quite fit to start. And it's one of them, do you bring someone in for the playoff semi-finals who's only maybe got 60 minutes, 70 minutes in them and risk, another injury or something like that? So it wouldn't surprise me if this was the same 11 that starts on certainly in that first leg.
Okay. All right. A final question to all of you, and you'll all have your own kind of memories of these. But you've reached the playoff finals twice. Once in 2006 when your old friends Birmingham beat you in a penalty shootout, and then you did beat Middlesbrough in 2015. Does history of playoffs make any kind of difference? West Brom have had far more playoffs than you guys, so have Leeds. You haven't really been here that often. When you've been up and down, you've usually done it through the automatic routes. So there isn't a vast amount of experience in this side, and with the manager also as well, with how to manage the playoffs. Does that make any difference this week?
I think it's not so important in the experience in the playoffs. I think it's the experience of the team in general. And I think with players like Gibson, Duffy, McLean, it's a shame Barnes ain't in the squad because he'd have been a good one having the playoffs. He's obviously out injured. But no, I mean, it would help with the history in the playoffs, but who knows, some of that confidence on the 2015 win might keep us going. But nah, because it was obviously not very, very recent, I do think that's going to go out the window. It's just mainly about the experience of the actual players in the side, not the experience of just the playoffs overall. So yeah, I think we need the more older and experienced players to step up like Gibson and Duffy and just to take lead and guide through those younger players like we did at Ipswich, really. That was a prime example.
Okay. All right, then. Let's bring in then our Leeds fan who will, as I'm sure you'll hear a lot about in the build-up to this, have a playoff curse. Been in 5 previous playoffs and haven't gone through in any single one of them. No pressure then, Norwich. Steve, welcome to the Norwich View. You've heard all that chat. Tell the Norwich faithful watching this, do they need to be worried this Sunday? Are you a caged beast ready to unleash and you've just been playing with us for a couple of weeks? Or are you really in a slump?
Well, Leeds fans always like to say we do it the hard way, but this is too hard. This is like, I think I'm more worried than Norwich fans are than what Leeds team are going to turn up, because I know none of the 4 in the playoffs are on any decent form, but we have looked really shaky. One of the things that I think we've been great at this year has been our home form, and we've looked really bad in some of our recent home games. I think, yeah, if we're a cage beast, bring it on, because something needs to change, because some of the performances recently have been just, honestly, we do not look like a team that should be in the playoffs. So a lot to be desired. But I think one of the lads said it before, you don't know what Leeds team's going to turn up, and the fact is there is the quality there. And if we can get our fans behind us, I think that's fortunate on our side to have the second leg at home and an evening game as well. I think that can really push us over the edge within this game, or this playoff semi-final.
Well, having said that, you've gone all season unbeaten at home, including beating Norwich when they came earlier this year, and then your last 2, you lost to Blackburn, and you've just lost to Southampton. So,
what do I think is different there?
What's happened?
Well, I think unfortunately the pressure's definitely got to us. I think the Southampton game, we sort of didn't know whether we were going to go all hell for leather. And I do think if it had come through that Huddersfield had got an early goal, I think the fans we'd have like proper got up for it. But I think we all knew we'd messed it up before that game. And we sort of went into that Southampton game knowing Southampton had ready to beat us as well. But I think the Thursday, it's just our last chance to really get behind them and give it a good go. Obviously, that we'll be in full voice at Carrow Road on Saturday, but definitely at Elland Road under the lights, evening game. Yeah, I think the atmosphere will be spot on, and we can't do anything but put it behind us what's happened in the last 2 games against Blackburn and Southampton.
Okay, all right. Does it weigh on the players' minds at all, Steve, that you've already beaten Norwich twice this year? You've done the double over them. Does that make any difference going into this Sunday?
Yeah, in one way I want to say yeah, because the lads will know that some of the individual battles they did well with. Somerville's done well in both games. I know that it was only 1-0 in the second leg, but he's looked good. But actually, it doesn't really matter, does it? I remember a few years ago in the Classic Elsa, we did Derby 3 times. So we beat them twice in the league. First leg beat them. And then obviously the inevitable 4th game within that season, which was the second leg at ours, we fell apart. So we've got to take it game by game. Yeah, there's some little bits of positives that we can take from the previous 2 games, especially what you've all been speaking about being 2-0 down and then coming back to win 3-2 at Carrow Road. That was a big result in our season, really.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but fingers crossed, mate.
All right, let's get some score predictions from you all then. Steve, give us the prediction at Elland Road first, so for the Thursday night game.
I just see us winning, but it's difficult, isn't it, with us without the game on Saturday. I think there's every chance we'll come away with a score draw or even maybe something like a 2-1 loss. I'd love it to be if we come out with a 3-0 win, but I think whatever happens, it's trying to get them back to our place and the game not being out of sight. Even if it is, I think when we're at our best is when teams are putting, they're going to invite us onto them because we're just going to be trying to suck the ball into the goal. So I see a Leeds win at Elland Road either way, but I guess it's going to be really, really dependent on what happens at Carrow Road on Saturday.
Okay. All right, let's get some score predictions then from our Norwich lads for this Sunday's game. Matty, you go first for me.
For this weekend's game, Norwich will nick it 2-1. I think both teams will win their home legs. I just feel that over the course of 2 legs, Leeds will outscore us. So I think we'll win this weekend, and then I think we'll lose at Elland Road, unfortunately.
Okay, Alfie.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Norwich this Sunday, and I think the home form will just push us over the edge. But then what I see is, like we've seen a lot of times this season, Wagner's going to set up differently. He's going to sit back at Elland Road, invite the pressure on. Their key players are going to open us up, individual brilliance, and we'll lose 2-0 away and go out.
And Liam?
I think at home we're going to win 2-1. I think both teams will score. I think there's probably no doubt about that. And then I think both teams will score on the away leg as well. I'm probably going to say 1-1 and just back the boys and hopefully we'll be at Wembley.
Okay, excellent. All right, Steve, thank you for joining us for that. No Good luck. Before I let you lads go, a simple, straightforward question around the manager. If the worst happens and Leeds completely demoralise you and aggregate score is 6-2, something like that, does Wagner keep his job for you next season, Alfie?
I wouldn't be disappointed. I wouldn't ball in my house out if he went, but I'm not fully against him if he stays at the same time. I'm not going to be like, oh my God, why is he staying? But yeah, I'd give him 1 more year because I feel like there's been glimpses of tactical masterclasses from him. Against Ipswich, he really found them out. They could break us down. And I feel like just a full strength squad all season, a few improvements in the summer, we really could kick on because he's got the experience as the manager. Obviously, with Huddersfield, kept him up as well 1 year. But obviously, if he did go and we did get a new manager, and obviously we got linked with some young Arsenal manager, I can't exactly remember what his name was, through our new sporting director, Ben Napper. I wouldn't be fully against that, a bit of a change. But yeah, I'd keep him. I'd keep him for another season.
Okay, Matty?
Carlos Cuesta is the Arsenal assistant that was mentioned. Will Still was also rumoured to be brought by the club in over the winter. For me, no. If we don't go, certainly if we get, as you alluded to, you mentioned 6-2. We got battered at 6-2 only in 1 game against Plymouth earlier in the season. So and sometimes we're confident to go after that. So no, I would change the head coach if we don't go. I was walking back from the game on Saturday saying we can't sack him if we go up, and a few people were saying no, I'd still sack him even if we went up, but a little bit extreme. But for me, it would be I think a change is needed if we don't go.
Okay. Liam, you get the casting vote here.
It's difficult because after the first month we looked unreal, and then sort of from there we just sort of capitulated. Was 18th or whatever, but then we sort of come back, and you can only sort of put it down to the manager and what he sort of told the players and got the players proper up for it. And none of us thought we'd be in the playoffs, sort of thing. So I think you've got to sort of give him the credit that he has sort of turned it around. Just purely probably off of that, I think I'd probably give him next season, see what he can do in the summer, who he can bring in, etc., under sort of Napper and that, see what work they can do, and probably give him next season and see what happens.
Okay. All right then. Sounds like he's staying for now. I can't let you go without mentioning, obviously, the biggest news this weekend was Ipswich being promoted. Any messages of congratulations from you at all?
No, bugger 'em. Nothing.
Nothing at all.
At least there might be a few more years they don't beat us for if we don't go up.
That clock keeps on ticking, doesn't it? 15 years and so on. All right. Good luck then against Leeds this weekend, and also for the Friday night. We will hopefully be talking to you again when we'll be previewing the Wembley final between Norwich and Southampton, or Norwich and West Brom. Good luck. Cheers for joining us.
Cheers, Mark.
Cheers, Mark.